Hi everybody, Mr. Rocco here, and today we're going to be investigating any clues or evidence that the Earth's continents were in a different location in the past or that they're possibly currently moving. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at Google Earth and we're going to search for evidence and clues that the continents might be moving. So for the background information, it says your science classroom most likely has a globe sitting on a shelf. Have you ever examined it closely? Are there any features that you find interesting? In this activity, you will make observations of a globe and look for evidence of moving continents. So instead of using a globe, we're going to actually use Google Earth because we'll be able to see a lot more than we could on a globe. So first thing I want you to do, it says search Google Earth for two of the Earth's features that occur frequently and list them. So we've used Google Earth in the past, so you have this app on your iPad. You can open the app and you can start to search for two features that occur on the Earth fairly often. Right now something I'm seeing is this is actually kind of the Rocky Mountains. So I can see there's a chain of mountains there. There's also another chain of mountains here, the Sierra Nevada mountains. What about another? Looks like the chain of mountains, that Rocky Mountains, kind of extends through North America and it goes up into Canada, up into British Columbia. Wonder if I can find some mountains on other continents. Let's see here. What on South America? Looks like we might have some over here. Yep, so I definitely got another mountain chain here, and it looks like it's on the edge of the continent, so that's interesting. What else do I got? How about in Europe here? And what about right here? This is interesting. This is like India down here, and I've got China, I got Asia right here, and then right between those two countries, it looks like there is a very large mountain chain again. These are all mountains. These are the Himalayan mountains. Okay. So it looks like a common feature on the Earth are mountains. And another common feature that I see a lot of lakes. I see the Great Lakes here. I see, if we look at Minnesota, there's all these different lakes that we can see. So I'm going to write down mountains and lakes, but there could be a lot of other features too. I see a lot of oceans. I see a vast part of the Earth is made up of oceans. This is the Pacific Ocean right here. So I'm going to write a couple things down here. So it just says list them, so you can list the things that you're seeing. So I see mountain, chains, lakes. Alright, then it says use the materials to help you make a model of the Earth. As you develop your model, think about features that will help provide evidence. Use your model to find evidence of the moving continents. Record your observations and any evidence in the continents that are moving on the map below. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Google Earth, and I want to mark up this map with any evidence that I see that the continents are moving. So one thing, when I think about mountains, I know that a mountain is where the crust of the Earth has been folded, and there had to be some force that caused that. So I'm just going to label a couple mountain chains on here, just as possible evidence, and so they kind of go, kind of through this area. Okay, I found one over here in South America. There was another mountain chain kind of along this area. And I can make a key for my map later. I found one over here between India and Asia. So let's go back to Google Earth. Let's see what else we can find. Just looking at this map, another thing I start to notice is that it almost looks like South America, almost maybe it looks like it fits together whoops, with Africa. So I'm going to draw some arrows to show that maybe at one time those were closer together. You know, almost looks like it fits together like a puzzle piece. You know, kind of same thing up here. Almost looks like Greenland almost looks like it was connected with parts of North America. So let's see what other evidence we can find. Let's go back to let's see, looking around North America, right around Cuba, I noticed this dark line here right between the Cayman lines. So this I think is actually like really deep ocean water. It looks like it's almost like a trench. And it looks like there's almost like a chunk of the ocean or a chunk of the Earth's crust here. So I'm going to just label that on my map because that's kind of interesting. And it kind of looks like, I'm just going to draw a red line. It almost looks like there's kind of like a chunk of the Earth's crust like right here. So I'm going to label that. I wonder if I can find any more things like that. Let's look at the Pacific Ocean. So this ocean is huge. And look at this. Look way up here. I see this dark line again. And let me just kind of follow this. This is Alaska over here. And I'm just going to follow this dark line around and see what it does. Almost looks like it might be a big chunk of the Earth's crust. Because it looks like it almost has like a shape to it. And there's another one over here. But if I keep following this Pacific one, it looks like it kind of goes all the way around. Okay. So I'm just going to label part of this that there's kind of this boundary around the Pacific Ocean. So I'm going to just draw this red line kind of like this. Okay, so maybe that's like part of that. So what you're doing is you're going through on this map and you're showing any evidence that you can find that maybe the continents are moving today. You know, there is a volcano that just erupted over here actually north of Venezuela. We talked about it's the island of St. Vincent. It's kind of right here, so I'm going to put a little volcano symbol here just because I know that. And I know that there's actually a volcano erupting in Iceland now, too. We've been talking about that in class. So I'm going to put a symbol there, so maybe that has something to do with it. I got one more thing here. So I found this kind of trench that goes along the Pacific Ocean. What about if I look at the Atlantic Ocean? Do I see the same thing? It doesn't look like I really have a trench, but there's something kind of interesting here. Look in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It looks like there's almost like scratch marks or lines, and this is showing you what the bottom of the ocean looks like, actually. And it almost looks like there's kind of like a big, like a mountain chain under here. That's pretty interesting. And it kind of, almost like a zipper. It goes all the way up the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm going to put that on there because maybe that has something to do with it. So I'm going to put that on there. Maybe I'll use orange for that. And I'm just going to draw this kind of line that kind of separates down the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So that's some evidence I found so far, okay? And there's lots more, but these are just a few things I'm noticing. So I want you to search and find what evidence you can see that might be an indicator that the continents were in a different place at one time, or maybe that they're moving today. All right, so number one, it says about how much of the Earth's surface is covered by the Pacific Ocean. Identify at least two major mountain chains that extend over more than one continent. Well, I identified a couple mountain chains. We talked about these ones here, and they go from the United States and they go up into British Columbia into Canada here. So I'm going to put that in there. So that extends over two countries, but not really a continent. If I go back here, we know we've got the Himalayan mountains. That is kind of between India and China, so maybe that would be one I could list. And I know there's a mountain chain somewhere over here in Europe. Maybe I could list that. Okay, so you're going to list two different mountain chains. And think about, well, how much of the Earth's surface is covered by the Pacific Ocean? So the Pacific Ocean, we looked at it earlier, is the ocean that's west of the United States. And all this blue area, here's Hawaii right here. This is all the Pacific Ocean. It goes all the way over to Japan, and then it goes all the way around Australia and New Zealand, and then it goes basically just to the north of, to the west of South America. So it's a huge body of area around the world here. So, I mean, it almost looks like I'm looking at one side of the globe here, right? It's like half of it's the Pacific Ocean. So, I don't know, maybe an estimate of like 30-40% of the globe is covered by the Pacific Ocean. So you have to think about that. So did you notice any patterns in the shape of the continents? Give a example. Well, I did notice some. I noticed it looked like there were possibly maybe some continents that maybe fit into each other. I noticed that the shapes of the continents are not very smooth. They're very jagged, almost like they've been broken apart. And then the last question, what evidence did you observe that indicates the continents might have moved over time? Well, those are some of the things I noticed. It looks like maybe South America fits into Africa. There's this big kind of mountain chain in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which is interesting. I don't know why that would be there. It looks like there's this big chunk of the Earth's crust that goes kind of around the Pacific Ocean where there's this deep trench. So maybe there's a broken chunk of the Earth's crust there. I don't know. I've got evidence of mountains, and the mountains had to form somehow. That's mountain is literally folded crust. So that'd be kind of the evidence I would be thinking about. So this is kind of just a prediction that we're working on right now. We're going to be building on this evidence, but I want you to write down your initial ideas, create a map we're going to be adding to it over time, and just list any evidence you can that would maybe support the theory of plate tectonics. So we'll be working on this class. If you have any questions, send your science teacher a question. And Schoology, have a great day.